Welcome, seekers and visionaries, to Oracle Mountain Chats. Here on this sacred virtual peak, we gather a space for oracles to share their wisdom, their visions, and their craft. It all began with a calling I could not ignore. One day, within a vision, I held this conch shell in my hands, and as I blew its resonant note into the world, I felt its vibration ripple across unseen realms. It was a summons, a signal to fellow oracles scattered near and far. I saw that we were on a mountain, vast and towering, reaching into the heavens. At its base, the world buzzed with life, people moving, creating, searching. Yet at the summit, there was stillness, clarity, and a circle of light. There, oracles stood, their gaze focused both outward and inward. They spoke of the energies they felt, the shifts they saw, and the whispers of the unseen. They weren't above the world, they were its witnesses and its guides. From this vision, OracleFest was born, a celebration of connection, insight, and the timeless wisdom that flows through us all. The message was clear. It is time. Time to meet upon this sacred mountain, to share what we hear, feel, and see. Time to bring the wisdom of the divine to a world that is yearning for its guidance. Through OracleFest, we've created a movement of community, all yearning to empower their own inner oracle. And here in Oracle Mountain Chats, we bring that spirit into a more intimate space. This is where the oracles gather to reflect, exchange ideas, and to explore what wishes to come through in the moment. This mountain is more than stone and sky. It is a meeting place of the realms, a threshold between seen and unseen, known and unknown. Here we gather as oracles to share the visions Spirit whispers to us, to speak of the energy currents flowing through nature and humanity, and to help guide those who seek answers in a world that often feels lost. So grab a seat, breathe in the mountain air, and join us as we begin today's chat. Whether it's an energy reading, a conversation about our craft, our path, or simply sharing a perspective on the world below, this is where we wait for more oracles to join us on the mountain. What wisdom will the mountain bring us today? Let's find out together. Step into this sacred space where the wisdom of the ages converges with the questions of the present. Okay, and here we find ourselves back on Oracle Mountain, and I'm so blessed. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today with Arlene Porter. She's a Violet Angel Intuition 1111 on YouTube, and I have been following Arlene's channel, and I find myself, this, I don't know if this feels like an expose or a confessional or something like that, but I've found myself really drawn to the twin flame concept and soulmate concept, the idea of spiritual romance and how we relate to this in a very deep way. I feel like I continue to explore these concepts. And so it was really important that at OracleFest, we had representation of this idea because it feels, controversial because we've seen documentaries come out about the way that this could be put into misuse, these concepts. And then we have, I think, a whole beautiful side of lots of what I see as readers who really do understand the nature of this journey. And so it was important to me to try and bring some of those voices to the light here at OracleFest. So we're going to have Arlene as part of a twin flame panel discussion, or conscious or spiritual relationship panel discussion. And so we are blessed to have you with us at OracleFest. And thank you for being here, Arlene.
Yeah. Well, can I just want to say, first of all, for you, Kate, thank you for inviting me to do this, because I feel quite honoured to be a part of this. But thank you for all the work you're doing to bring people from the spiritual community together, because I feel so many people in the world would really benefit from this information who's struggling on their spiritual journeys right now. And I'm just really, I'm really honoured that you've asked me to do this, and I'm loving your mountain chats. I found them so inspirational, so interesting, and I really feel I've got big shoes to fill with these interesting people you've had on already. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about the twin flame journey. And just I'll quickly just touch on it when you said there about the documentary. That was actually, for a while I'd been sitting on this because I found my twin flame, twin soul journey beautiful for me. It's really been a healing experience and brought me closer to God and everything. And I'd been pushed by my guides for a while to share my own experiences and how they were positive. And it was actually when that documentary came out that kind of made me think I can't hold off any longer. I need to try and put a positive voice out there for the twin flame community. So that's what brought me to my channel. So thank you for highlighting that for me. That was handy.
Yes, of course. It's so beautiful. And I've found similarly, there are challenges to any spiritual journey. But this has been like gasoline to the fire in some kind of
Yeah,
way.
it has, absolutely.
And so we ought to be thankful, right? Like that is a beautiful thing in on its own.
It is, and I think when you look at it, as you said, exactly in a spiritual way. See, I'm the one thing I'm always trying to get through to people is don't focus on the physical aspect of your connection,
Mhm.
because you have to connect in an energetic way, because that is, your twin flame connection isn't about what's happening in your physical reality. If you're still waiting on a text message or you're stalking them on social media, you're not doing your twin flame healing correctly. And that's kind of what my channel's about. It's about that past life energy coming through, but also by aligning yourself and healing yourself, because your twin flame ultimately is within you. It's not a 3D thing. It's an internal thing first. So yeah, that's what I try and focus on. And there's many other readers like me. Like, I'm not the only one. I've learned so much from other amazing readers as well who see it in the same way. So yeah, I'm very
Absolutely.
grateful to be on the journey and grateful to have met some amazing people like yourself along the way. So it's been good.
Yeah, yeah, I love that as well, actually, because yeah, I think through when I would have these, you know, we were just talking about this beforehand, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But I mean, before we started the recording here, as always happens, I always wish that I just immediately record as soon as I hop on with someone because
I
we
know
end up
the
always
conversation.
getting into something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what we were talking about really was touching my heart, because it reminds me also a lot of something I don't quite share often, which is the more isolating and challenging internal aspects of the spiritual journey, when that is
Yeah.
really most of it in my mind, right? And so all
Yeah.
we are ever doing as healing practitioners is helping like mirror or point someone to their own self-healing ability in whatever ways we've been, shown and seen.
Yeah.
And when I first had my, we'll call it a twin flame awakening, I really felt much more commonly like I was maybe losing my mind. Like there was a lot more of that questioning happening, not
Yeah.
because I was acting out, but because internally things felt very different. Like it
Yeah.
really felt like a whole different realm had opened up or something, but it was very difficult to reconcile what was here and in the physical world wasn't matching, and then it would, and then it wouldn't, and then it wouldn't, right? So can you tell me a bit about, like, you're nodding, so you obviously resonate with this as well.
Yes. Yes.
Can you
Yes.
tell me a bit
Absolutely.
about, like, what has inspired you to share? I know that adding a lighter voice into this is really critical, because I agree,
Mm-hmm.
there's like tons of fear mongering and also focus on the physical, and it has to look like this, and you're going to be together forever, and it's going to look like what you saw with, Disney movies, or, whatever it,
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
going to
Yes.
describe. Or they describe it as a fire and brimstone. This is going to be the worst journey you go through, but it's the only one, you can't choose to get away from it. It feels so like extreme, right?
It does, it does, and I really feel I definitely float in that middle ground there, because I do believe that the fairy tale can happen. I am an old romantic. I believe in that kind of thing as well. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
believe in love and true love and all the rest of it. But I remember watching when I first went through, because without going too much, I don't want to over talk and share too much, but I've had two near-death experiences in my life, so I've always kind of had a very strong spiritual pull in many ways. And even as a child, I would see orbs and things like that, to the point where my parents would take me to a psychologist. What's wrong with her? She can't sleep in the dark because she's seeing little white things floating around and things. But it wasn't until I met my twin flame and I actually had my first date with him. I'd been single for 15 years.
Oh,
No,
wow.
not even dating anyone, nothing. And my daughters persuaded me to go on to a dating site. And I said, I'm going on for 1 week. And if I don't meet someone I'm interested in, because I'm not interested in just, one night stands or anything.
Yep.
And then I ended up having a date with this guy, which was an 11/11, which unbeknown to me is an important date for the twin
Yes.
community. And the rest was history. And after that, like you, we were together maybe 5 months. The bubble love people talk about, everything, just meeting someone who completely gets you and you can be yourself. Nothing is taboo between the two of you. And then it all just falls apart, like many people. And then the mirroring starts, the shadow work and things. So that is really what put me on this journey. And I didn't know anything about twin flames when I met him. It wasn't until after the fact. But like you, as you say, you see all these videos coming in, and I was watching readings and it was talking about your divine masculine wants to end your life, all these kind of things, really scary things. And it makes you think, oh, I don't even want to be part of this if that's what it's like. So you're right. It kind of, there's either the scaremongering to make people try and, think badly of their twin soul journey or whatever. But there's also, as you say, for people saying, oh, you want to be with your twin, you need to do this. Or I hate these videos that say, if you watch this, your twin will reach out to you within, all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Same.
yeah, I completely get it. And so I felt, because I kind of understood the concept of my journey quite quickly, because I felt like this is an internal thing. I'm sabotaging things. I'm closed off to love. I'm closed off. And I realized very quickly that a lot of the healing had to start with me. And that's literally about a year after separating from my twin, I felt aligned and kind of healed within myself. So, and that's why I started my channel, because I wanted other people to understand it was a healing that had to start with yourself before. The more you chase that person who you think is, you need them to complete you, when actually the completion is right here all along. And that's what I'm trying to really, as you say, be the kind of middle ground to people who's in different extremes. So that's, yeah. So sorry, that was a long-winded. That was a very
Yeah.
long-winded way.
No, that's exactly, I mean, that's all it is. That's all we do up here on the mountain, is we all just hang out and see what comes out of our face,
Yeah. I'm usually putting stuff in my face. In fact, I just had some lunch just now.
Well, you're better ahead than I am. Maybe I should have made myself like a tea or cocoa or something. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you too. I think there's an importance of being in that middle line, actually. And I would say with a lot of the different spiritual aspects that we are exploring, I think it's healthy to bring things into neutrality. And in fact, when I teach people intuition development, I actually say this all the time, because, when you're trying to answer a question and you're trying to get an answer, right? You're staring right at the problem. So it's not going to solve itself because you're looking at it the same way you've been looking at it, right? And then you also have this like track in your mind that says like it kind of needs to be sorted this way, or I'm panicked about if it doesn't go this way or that way, right? If it goes this way or that way, then I'll be upset. And so then you can't ever get the real answer, because why would that feel comfortable to land intuitively and to feel certain of something you didn't want to happen? We have such resistance, right, to like uncomfortable feelings. And I know for a lot of people, the idea of rejection or abandonment is like a major uncomfortable feeling. And in some ways, I think when we meet a twin flame and we have this, and the difference is, right? Let's like speak to this for a second for people who don't know and who are like, what are these gals talking about? The difference, I think, for twin flame in my mind, and I really would love to know anything else that you can add to this, because my preliminary feeling is that a twin flame awakening is more that has that spiritual essence to it from the get-go. There's like a knowing of like, we're going to meet back, or we've met back before. When you said past life, that really resonated with me, because I remember looking into his eyes, and for me anyways, I remember looking into his eyes and going like, how is it that like I feel like we're just saying we're gonna like high five, we'll meet back again in however long that's gonna be, right? Like that there was somehow this like you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we'll meet back. Like knowing that kind of do you know what I mean when I'm saying that? And I don't think I've had that with other people. And then suddenly all my dreams got activated. And then I had all these like intuitive impressions coming in that didn't always make sense to what was happening right in the physical. So it took a long time to kind of sort and calibrate to this new awareness. Is that how
Yeah,
it felt for you?
exactly how it felt for me. It's almost like, as you say, it's like a recalibration, and it's because
Mhm.
it's like you're the thing I'm always trying to say to people is you've got to remember you and your masculine are always together,
Mhm.
energetically. So, but you're then aligning with all those past life memories, and I've had so, and it's a beautiful thing actually because I've so many beautiful memories with my masculine in different time periods, even to the point where, you know, memories of being together during the war and stuff like that. And it's actually just what you're describing. It's actually amazing to feel all that, but just know deep down you're both on your own spiritual path right now. Like I know my masculine's healing and he's getting closer to God and stuff like that right now, and that I can feel that as well. And you know, obviously from the small amounts we've spoken in the 3D, but as you say, there's just an inner knowing that you will be back together. You just have to, as you say, do your own thing, do your own healing work, and you just know. And did you find that with your masculine as well? There was just that, you know, I know we're going our separate ways right now, but we're going to be back together. And
Yeah, and strangely, he would recognize that as well, which is even more bizarre almost. But I kind of take this idea, which is a little, I don't know, maybe a bit out there, maybe just where I'm at in my journey,
yeah,
which is to
yeah,
say, you know, we could end up together when I'm in my 80s, 90s. We could also end up together in the next lifetime. And like, as long as I'm feeling like I'm listening to my soul and my heart, I'm just trusting this is the ultimate right path, right, for my own self.
yeah.
So I know what you mean also about that feeling of like, I love believing in the romance. And I think that's happening for me either way, whether it's that person or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'm
Yes,
like, no,
you're
that's coming.
manifesting that happy ending for yourself regardless.
Right.
Yeah.
That energy feels like a part of my life story. I'm gonna allow that. That seems lovely and would be a beautiful contrast as well.
Yes, yes,
You know, I might I'll
yeah.
cheekily say, hey, I think this must be leading to a beautiful story because it didn't come with the easiest of beginnings in many ways throughout my life. And so that feels like an important part of, you know, we all have healing themes. Sometimes you look at someone and you go, okay, they're constantly going to come back and forth with this one kind of theme within their life, this pattern.
Mhm.
That's one of mine, right? Is love and the idea of this beautiful romantic. That's going to be
Yeah,
part of mine. I just know it, you know.
yeah.
Because here it is, and this is what my life has shown me, and probably a lot of people on the twin flame journey. This idea of holding a frequency of love that a lot of people forget about or don't like to believe in. It's like believing in fairies, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. And you
today
know
to say
something?
that, yeah,
The more, and I always say to my friend, and they're starting to get it, and I always say, see, the more you believe in things like that, the more you see magical things happening, and it's so true.
yeah,
And even now they're saying to me, you know, I it blows my mind, Arlene. You said, oh, if you start thinking like this will happen, and it is happening for me now. They're seeing the angel numbers, they're feeling more connected to nature and stuff. So,
yes,
as you say, the more you open up to believing that anything is possible. But I always, and the one thing I always advise people is to talk like you already have found your true love. You know,
hmm,
thank you for bringing true love. Because if you're saying, I hope to find my true love one day, that's you saying to the universe, you haven't got true love in your life. And the
exactly,
more you say you've found true love, I'm so lucky to have found true love in this lifetime, that's drawing that true love energy back towards you. So that's the
yeah,
most important thing as well. Don't say you're looking for love, because then the
yeah,
universe is like, okay, you're looking for love, we'll keep looking for love. But when you say
yeah.
I've found love, that's when you're attracting that love into your life in a big way. So
This
I
is a
just like,
big game changer. That's like, I just want everyone to like land that wisdom
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
because it's a really important concept. And I found that even through this past year, I was doing so much reflecting on I can joke about all the different ways that my relationships have worked out, but every single time I was getting shown a newer version of exactly what that love is that I crave. And there's always been, because I'll have friends who are like, Kate, what, like, why has this been your life? Right.
Yeah,
And I go,
yeah.
here's the path I chose. I can't explain it. Just going where passion leads me. But what happens is I'm in a relationship and a connection that has some sort of passion, has some sort of depth, and has some sort of feeling of what that whole energy is that I've already been exposed to. So how beautiful is it that it keeps finding me and it keeps returning to me, and in
Yeah.
stronger ways and in different ways, and I get to experience all of that, right? So then I'm no longer in some sort of sore loser mindset of I lost that one and I lost this one and this person did this and that person lied about that, and
Exactly.
because then
Yeah.
I'm going to call in more of that. No thanks.
I know. I'm the same. I look back now and I always say thank you so much for all the lessons I've learned in my
Yeah.
previous relationships, where I have, as you say, you've been hurt, you've been cheated on, you've dealt. I mean, we've all dealt with some really crappy relationships. But now I look back at them all and look at them all as just a little learning experience, which were heartbreaking at the time. But I've learned from every single one of them. I've learned something about myself from every single one of them, and that ultimately, and now I feel like, which is so bizarre. I'm not with my masculine in the 3D right now, but I'm in the best relationship I've ever been in. It's like
Yeah.
the most perfect relationship. I feel completely seen and completely held and completely cherished by my masculine, and yet we don't speak in the 3D. But it's the most amazing experience, which that's the only way I can describe it. It's the best relationship. I'm 50 this year, and it's the best relationship I've been in.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating half a century this year. But
And
yes, so
you
it's,
can tell
yeah,
because there's also like a glow. And one of the reasons I resonate with your readings and with your voice in general is just because of your like pure sweetheartedness, like to be honest. Right.
like,
And so there is that kind of energy of like being a sweetheart to what is meant for you and what you already know. And that you're very tender, I think, with how you treat yourself. And then that shows in how you would then speak to others. Right. So
yeah,
it's a testament to the work that you've been able to do, the healing you've been able to do internally to say, actually, I'm worthy and this is here now. And this love is accessible from my own heart. And how amazing is that? Right. And for you to say you're in the best relationship is really like your internal relationship is so,
exactly, with
and
myself. I'm in the best relationship, and it's with myself. And
exactly.
the way you've put it's perfect there, Kate. That is it exactly. It's the best relationship I've been in, and it's with myself.
Yeah.
I always say to people, speak about glow ups and say, "Oh, but I've not had anything done to." And I always say, "But the glow up is every time you do something for yourself, your glow comes, internally. It's not about going to the hairdressers, or I mean, you can clearly see I don't go to hairdressers. My hair is just like always wild, but it's just doing these nice things for yourself and just choosing yourself is causes that internal glow as you spoke about, and it's trying to get that across to people. It's not about how much money you spend on getting your hair done or anything like that. It's just choosing yourself and being, as you say, compassionate and loving and kind to yourself, and that causes that glow to come from within, in my mind anyway. um,
Absolutely.
the way you described is perfect, so that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's not my first day on this whole little journey, and it's taken me a while to find the readers who I resonate with because, I'd love to touch on this just a tiny bit, only for the people who, and we'll talk about it at the Twin Flame panel discussion as well, right? But there is, there is like a wave of probably with any spiritual work, there's the edge of people who are like, I see this as a potential answer for what explains my experience, but I'm not there yet that I believe it, or I'm not there yet that I'm ready
Mhm.
for it. And so then comes a lot of negativity or judgment or criticism or what we would see probably in YouTube comments and things would be like, well, that can't be right. Like what you're saying about love can't be right because this person who's in my life acts this way towards me, right? And so we see that and we go, oh, I really wish I could just hold that person and let them know that like this is more about how they feel. And if they don't feel good, then they need to make that boundary real clear. And
Yeah.
so it's unsafe to validate every single person's story, which is why you do individual sessions with people, right? Because then you can actually get a feel and a read and an understanding of who they are. And when we do these collective readings, people can expect that, oh, well, that must have to apply to. So tell me, do you find this on your own channel, and how do you
I
see
do.
that?
So the collective readings, a lot of people tend to, as you've probably seen, a lot of people, and I did it myself, you tend to feel you resonate with most collective readings because every single element that connects or resonates in some way. But when I do my personal guidance sessions, I focus more on what needs to be healed within the person and I work with divine feminine and divine masculines. Divine feminines, because I channel mostly divine masculine energy and I channel messages through my masculine side, it gives them an idea of what their person's going through, which makes them understand that they might be quiet in the 3D, they may be ignoring them, they may be blocked them, but it's because they're dealing with their own internal issues as well, because you've got to remember your masculine has to balance out their divine feminine energy, they're got to balance out their own shadow work and light work and stuff like that. So it gives them a different perspective, which makes them start to understand. So my sessions are more to encourage the feminine to keep doing the healing work for themselves, to bring the masculine back in, but also to understand from the masculine's perspective that they're not the enemy, they're not the evil ones that they're making them out to be in their mind, because they are actually mirroring you. And I say this all the time, like I discovered after the fact, because I would say to my masculine, why can't you love me back? And he kept on saying, but I can't love you. I'm not capable of loving anyone. And it wasn't until after we went in through our separation and I realized my heart chakra was closed to love. I'd been single for 15 years, completely scared to love again in case I got hurt. So I realized that he was mirroring me. He couldn't love me because I was not capable of letting love in. And that is what I try and explain to people. It's a mirroring effect. Anything you're accusing your masculine of, the duality is anything you accuse your masculine of doing, it's because you are mirroring that energy to them. So it's a very alchemical, scientific, balancing act, but you try and explain to them, and not everyone gets it, as you're saying. It's you can't make people believe something unless you want to understand it. But I do try, and I can say most of the people that have worked with me one-to-one have definitely changed their outlook on their journey, which is a huge plus for me. That's a bonus in itself. So
Yeah, it's actually monumental in a world that also just struggles to believe in love or lasting love in general, right? So it is really deep work.
yeah.
I think it's so seen because of some society standards, not all of them, but because of some, messages and just the amount of information people have nowadays to be able to see how many things don't work out, the stats that people share.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the stats. It is like an act of rebellion to believe in love and kindness and acceptance and romance as well, in a world that's a bit more disillusioned, I think, from it. And I really do, I resonate with, there's an aspect of this that is so deeply about like humbling yourself, I think, because
Exactly.
right,
Yeah.
so many times I was like, oh, but this behavior doesn't make sense because they're this type of being who wants this, but they're behaving in this way. Well, do you know how many things in my life I wanted but was not behaving in accordance with? And then it made me smarten the heck up, right?
Yeah.
And there have been visions that have come through. There's specifically a vision that has been repeated and like consistent, telling me, Kate, you need to do this work for orphans and people like children who have been abandoned. It's very, very clear, and I know exactly where it is. And wouldn't you know it, my twin flame, when we had met, had said that they wanted to do an orphanage. And so I was ignoring this vision because I was like, I don't want any part of that. I was like, let them go do it. And I'm going to not ever do anything that attracts them to me. Right. I was like, you go walk over your way. I'll go walk over my way. And I'm not going to touch the stuff that you're going to touch. I don't want to be in your industry because I already left that industry. I don't want to be doing the same dreams that you want. And then this dream it was like so consistent that you go, okay, I'm the one being foolish now, right? Because now I'm the one ignoring this vision that's clearly kept coming for me. And I say, well, I'm doing it anyway, right? I don't have to wait for anything to shift. I have to do this vision because it's coming through me. So who am I to stand in the way of what I'm being asked to do, right? And if that
Mhm.
was my critique of them, oh, I really wish they would just get into humanitarian work. Here I am doing doing the thing, right? So it is this,
You
yeah, it's
knew
this
all along.
totally. And it is. It's a you do you. It's the highest and best thing for all for you to do you, right? Like for everyone in the world, it's the best for you to do your own thing.
Well, yeah, you're so, I never get tired of saying to people, just be your authentic self, because your authentic self aligns you with everything. It
Yeah.
aligns you with everything that I always say to people, we're on this planet to learn, of course. But we've all been through so many learning experiences in past lives, you know, whether it's we've all had various things in our past lives, and we're here to learn. But the main thing is when you align with your authentic truth and who you were in past lives as well, you everything that you could possibly want or need just naturally falls into place for you. And you're so right. It's just it doesn't matter. I mean, I tried to run from doing my channel because I'm a really shy person, which you wouldn't believe. I don't like. I don't even like when people take photos. I'm like, no, get your camera away. But yeah, I've had to overcome my fear of, you know, being on camera and stuff as well. And so yeah, I'm a bit like you. I was running from what I had to do for a while, but in the end it catches up with you, Kate, and certainly it's all it definitely caught up with you eventually as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
it
you're
always catches up and continually, right? Because this, this orphanage work might still be a few years away, but then there will be other things. And I often, it's like something tugging at my shirt, it's like a kid, like, come
yeah.
on, come on.
And I think if you've already had the dreams and visions of it, it's definitely something that you're going to end up on that path regardless. I
Yeah, there's
feel.
something around it. I find that often it's not always exactly how I see it, but then it's much better usually. There's something I couldn't have seen that was like way,
Yeah,
way bigger.
yeah,
And yeah, and I love to say, life is long and vast. And so I accept all the different ways love is going to show up for me continually as it has, as it continues to. How awesome is that, right?
I know. It's amazing, and I just celebrate love like you. You just celebrate love in all forms, regardless of how it comes to. Just celebrate it. That's the main thing. And I just can't get that message across enough with you. Just how important love is in general. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, the deficiencies that are leading our modern world into suffering are literally the resistance to love and celebration and connection and community, right? Like that. These things that like or even faith, the idea of just having hope or having faith of something of anything, right?
yeah, I
It's not
know.
painful. This is what I say to people too who come to me about their relationship. I've had, I think you get on a twin flame journey and then suddenly people just start showing up who want to talk about that. You go, that's interesting. Suddenly we're doing a whole bunch of sessions on this. I do less
Yeah, yeah,
days, but it still pops up every now and then. And if they're complain or they're upset about it, like I do think there's such joy even in connecting to people who have that similar experience, right?
hmm
Like that I would feel more closely connected to love by knowing that you have a similar experience to me. And so it further
hmm
validates and we understand there's all these hearts, who feel similarly. Because you can talk to a lot of people who have really closed off that part of themselves and wouldn't even recognize it if they met it like in the street, right? And so there
yeah,
is something very important about keeping this type of storyline and belief system alive. I truly feel.
yeah. I agree with you 100%. It's just, as I say, not everyone gets it initially, but I feel like between the work you're doing, between the work you're all the other wonderful people you've engaged in this OracleFest, the work that everyone's doing to help people to not only about love and about connection, but also about that whole feeling of not being alone. That you're never really alone in this, and because I felt alone, I'm sure you felt alone at times as well. But as you say, you with the work you're doing, the work so many other people are doing as well, we're connecting and we're helping each other onto the same path. And I think it's going to be a beautiful thing once everyone starts to open up a bit more. And I feel this year is going to be a pinnacle year for so many people. for sure. So
Yes. I have heard this from many a person as well. And that's not the same story that we got in 24 or 2023, that it was like, actually, this is a really monumental, like, awakening and completion year, but that completion almost leads us to this new awakening. It's like on the
yeah,
cusp of, right? You
yes,
complete something and then a
yeah.
new thing starts. So then there must be lots of
I
awakenings
definitely
here.
felt last year was about people moving to the edge of the ledge. They were kind of shuffling forward, and they're all kind of standing ready to take that jump. And I feel this year is going to be the year where they're just going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to. I mean, there's a lot of people I've worked with who have been felt called to start their own healing businesses, and now they're doing that. And I love to hear people who have felt inspired to get out there. You do lose some people along the way. We can't lie about that. There are some people who don't understand you. I myself have lost probably about 80% of the people I grew up with through this
Right.
journey. But the people I've got around me now, they love me and understand me just as I am. And that in itself is worth its weight in gold. So
So
I
true.
don't dwell on the negatives too much. I always focus on the love I have around me is important with my kids and my good friends and things. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for everything I've learned on this journey, and no matter, as I say, the negatives tend to kind of fall into the background considering all the good stuff I have in my life now. So that's the way I look at it.
I'm
But
starting to notice that a bit more nowadays, but it is still challenging. I think being 32, you're still like, okay, I do want like connections to stay. And so,
yes,
these cherished friends who really do accept that, we are trusting intuition in our hearts and that they value that, those are like, yeah, those friends are worth everything, right? That these
they
connections
are.
who
They
just
are.
can meet you in that heart space.
I'm lucky. I've still got my three best friends I've had since our first day at school. So I
Oh,
my friends and I have been friends for best friends for 45 years, and they just get me. And I've actually had past life memories with them as well. So they're definitely like sisters in my soul group. And
of course.
yeah, I am truly blessed to have the great friends I have who just they don't judge me or anything like that. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that.
It's
And
important. Yeah. It's like, we try not to get too attached to things, but it is heartbreaking when you shift into a new belief set. And I think everyone on a spiritual journey understands this because as soon as you have a new perception, then suddenly your perception has changed based on, what you had been seeing and what you were talking about with people. And then, you think, am I the weirdo? Or, as time goes on.
I know, it's so
Yeah.
true. I mean, I now look at the people I grew up with and see just how, I mean, they were always different for me in the fact they were always very materialistically minded. They always had to have the designer clothes, the expensive stuff, and I was never like that.
Mhm.
Um, and now I look and I can understand why there was always a disconnect, but even more so now, it's like, but things happen the way they do, and you were told blood's thicker than water, and that's what we're told from a very early age. But for me, it's certainly I've always felt a stronger bond with my friend, who I feel like has been more of a sister to me than my actual three sisters. So
Yes.
definitely the soul connection definitely overrides the blood being thicker than water aspect for me anyway. So
Agreed. Oh, for me as well. I mean, I think we have similar stories in many ways. My family, they actually brought me up saying friends are the family you choose for yourself because I didn't really know a lot of my extended family. And as I get older and older, I'm go, yeah, that was the best choice actually, is because you can choose. And then when people choose you, how sweet is that? But when there's obligation, then there's expectations, and it can be really dense, all that family stuff. So
mhm.
yeah, I think we choose our families to heal with. And I'm lucky I still have good connections, with my smaller family. But yeah, there's a lot I think to be said about choosing those connections in your life who meet you in that place and understand, because that has way more value than the constantly. I mean, how many people do we talk to who are just constantly overthinking because they're putting judgment on themselves instead of just accepting how they're feeling, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that it's you're so true. It's so true, Kate. And as I say, I think you and I can probably talk for hours on another occasion because I think we are very similar what we've dealt with. But yeah, I really appreciate your perspective on things as well, and the fact that you're allowing others to get this information through OracleFest is a wonderful thing, and
Yeah.
I can't thank you again enough for inviting me on.
Of
Um,
course. It's so
so
exciting to me. Honestly, because what you're saying, it reminds me actually how beautiful this is, that we never would have met necessarily had I not said, hey, this just needs to happen. And this idea has come through me, luckily. And I said yes, and I'm hanging on for dear life, as we all as we all go towards the mountain. But there's something to me that speaks to, I mean, there's so many of us in speaker and leadership roles as well who crave that type of connection and that understanding from people. And so when we get to meet, because it's an online event, it's actually the best. We get to create all
Yeah.
these connections, and then we will move to in-person things in time as well. And I hope to have some in-person events. But there's such a beauty to the amount of different perspectives we can hold online.
I think it's amazing. And as you say, it means, and the fact your ticket prices are so accessible as well. I mean, I can't say that enough to people. It's just so nice to have an event where you're not charging people, huge amount of money to come and learn more about their spiritual journey. So, and from
Yeah.
so many amazing people as well who are definitely a voice for the people who haven't got a voice right now. They feel quite stuck in their situations and they can't be themselves for whatever reason. So yeah, I applaud you and all the people you invited to do this. So thank you so much, Kate, and thank you for having me on today as well to do this lovely chat. It's been an honor and a pleasure. So thank you.
It's really my pleasure, truly, and it's my honor. And my heart is warmed by knowing that we're going to also speak some more light to this story and this voice. And so I'm so blessed that you're part of the Twin Flame panel discussion. And I'm looking forward to, we'll be chatting again. I'll go host it, right? Because I can't help myself. I got to be a part of that conversation.
I'm hoping so, because otherwise I'll just sit quiet and listen to everybody else. I'll just be sitting listening to everybody else. So yes, it's good to have somebody there to host for sure. So thank you. And I look forward to that on the 31st. Thank you so much, Kate.
Beautiful. Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go and walk my dog now. She's been scratching at the door for the last few minutes. So she's
amazing. The dogs here are also scratching at the door. So we're going to both go tend to our dogs now. Great. Okay. High five. Synchronicity.
Yeah, how amazing that both our dogs, maybe that's a sign our masculine are going to be scratching at our door soon. You never know.
They're at our door. Love is at our doorstep, everyone.
This conversation was all it took. We should have done this long ago.
honestly, what were we thinking? Oh, well, thank you so much, dear Arlene. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you for having me. And I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye.
Bye.